Welcome to Collecting Chaos and the Eternal Mylite Project. You might remember these from Monday's video. I will pick one of these as my cover of the week at the end. I have several things to show you today. I've got some, we're going to grade a few comic books. I found some things when going through some of my magazine boxes that I thought you might be interested in seeing. And I've got, of course, some comics for the Eternal Mylite Project. So if that's the kind of thing you want to watch, you probably ought to keep watching. Because I'm not going anywhere. And hopefully you aren't either. To start off with, I made a couple more charts. Let's see. This one I showed you Monday. This is the new one, and this is page quality. This whole thing has to do with the interior of a comic. Nothing to do with the exterior. It's all interior stuff. And then a worksheet. And this is very similar to the worksheets I used to use when grading comics. When I would think a comic would be worth a lot of money, I'd use a worksheet similar to this so that I could show people what I took off and why I took it off. And when they would argue with me about the grade, I just pull out the sheet and say, look, this is it. Of course, then it had 100 points, not 10. Well, this is like 25 points, but still, you know what I mean. Now, you have to remember that when I grade a comic, I don't use these very often. I'm going to use it today because I want to go through the process with you. But I do all of this stuff, and I do all these charts and stuff in my head in the course of about 3 or 4 seconds. So, let me show you what I'm going to grade today. And I'm going to take them out of the bags. I have a Superman from the 90s. Bloodsport. This is Superman number 4. I was told it was high grade. It is not high grade. It is nowhere near high grade. But that's one of the comics. Next one I'm going to show you, and the next one we're going to grade, is from the 60s. And it's Strange Adventures number 148. And finally, this one does not have a board. A Dell comic. This is Dale Evans, Queen of the West. Queen of the West, Dale Evans, number 5 from 1954. So, we've got a very early Silver Age, a mid to late Silver Age, and a modern age book, which we'll get to those in a little while. First off, like I said, we'll get to those in a little while. What I want to show you first, though, is some things I ran across that I thought you might be interested in. This is the way DC was soliciting comics for a short time. And this was for the Big Book of Losers. And I got this one at a retailer workshop I went to. And they were trying to drum up interest in the comic. And I had this sitting on my counter for a while so people could look through it. And the only thing they did was, can I buy that? No. No. And I have the Big Book of Weird Wild West. Here's a preview of Challengers of the Unknown number 1 from 1996. And basically, it's just, it gives you an idea of what the original artwork looked like. DC Marvel Comics, Darkseid vs. Galactus, The Hunger. And this was by John Byrne. If you've never had a chance to read this one, track it down. It was pretty good. And of course it has the Silver Surfer in it. Orion versus the Surfer. Where else are you going to see that? Then from DC Comics Helix. Now this is in a bag and I don't feel like taking it out. Black and White Advance. Copy of DC Comics Helix Dead Corpse. The Invisibles Volume 2 Number 1. And The Invisibles was a pretty good Vertigo series. Justice League The Nail Number 1. If you have never read The Nail, it's a 3-part series. What are you waiting for? Go get it. No, not right now. Don't go. Wait until after the video, then go get it. Hellblazer 129 by Garth Ennis and John Higgins. And the funny part about it is I have this, but I don't have a copy of Hellblazer 129, the actual comic. Go figure. Millennium Fever number 1. And Superman for All Seasons number 1. And this was Jeff Loeb 10 Sale. So that's kind of neat stuff that I ran across that I thought you might be interested in seeing. So let's go on to grading a comic. Okay, I've got some important things out. Pen. My sheets and the comic. And I've got my charts up here that I will refer to, and I'll bring them down and show them to you what I'm looking at. And this is Superman, Volume 2, issue number 4. Most people, when they grade a comic, they pick it up and they start checking out the cover. I don't do that. I go straight to the interior and I start checking that out. And what I'm looking for initially is, are any coupons cut out? Is there any pages missing? Are there tears in the pages? Anything like that? Okay. So I don't see any of that stuff. And what we're looking at here, the centerfold is there. And it's tight, it's firmly secure. And that's one of the things you have to look for. Yeah, it's firmly secure. So that would be down here, you know, possibility of a gem mint comic because it's firmly secure and that's the highest grade it could be. Next, tears. There are no tears on the inside. And that's good. That means, again, we could end up with a mint or gem mint comic. The odor. I can smell newsprint, but I don't really smell any kind of an acid odor. So that's still good. We're still doing great. Now comes the page quality. These pages are supple. There's no hint of any brittleness. So let's look at the actual quality of the page. Now, we don't use owl cards anymore. Because each type of paper is different. So what I do is I take a look at these word balloons, and that's how I base are these places like this where there's white on the comic itself in the box, and that's what I base my whiteness on. So you see, this is white here. This is obviously not. So this is an off-white, almost a cream color. So it can't be mint. The highest it could get is a near mint minus, because that is the highest, or wait, no, it could be near mint and still be a cream color. cream to off-white, you could be cream. You could be near mint. So that's the highest grade this can get. So under pages, the highest it could be is a 9.6 under the pages. Now we'll take a look at we'll start taking a look at the cover. In particular, we'll start taking a look at the spine. I look at, we're going to go right down the list. We're going to go to corners next. The corners are sharp. This one is slightly blunted. Okay, I have two that are slightly blunted. So if I take a look at my old chart, under corners, slight blunting. Again, the best it could get is a 9.2 near mint. So for corners, oof. What did that just do to our comic? It means it can't be a 9.6. The best it could be is a 9.2. Now we're going to look at creases. And I have here, I have several creases, and these do break color. There's one here that looks to be one and a quarter inches. And I have one down here that looks to be 1.5 inches. So we're looking at 1 inch and up. Which we'll say is a considerable, or it's a significant defect, okay? And if we go here, where is it? Under creases, I don't have creases on here. Why don't I have creases on here? In any case, crease here, crease here, crease here, crease here, crease here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 defects right off the bat. Which takes it down to very fine. Now we'll look at spine. And the spine actually looks pretty good. 1, 2, 3. I see 3 spine ticks, which would be minor, minimal. Limited accumulation, it fits under that. So, yeah. So for creases, it's bad. I knew I should have made a chart for creases. I'll do that tonight. Minor crease, minor spine. That would be a very fine plus, which is an 8.5. Next, we're going to look at it's has some light soiling. Probably could be pressed, not pressed. It could probably be cleaned, and all that soiling would come out. On the back, it's lightly soiled. No real staining. And that I do have on this chart. Now, staples. What are you looking at for staples? Well, you look for centering, number one. Now, centering goes two different ways. You're looking for centering on the spine itself, and if we take a look at this and put it up against my scale here, this staple is 1.5 inches down, and the top staple is 2.5 inches down. So they're not well centered. That's for sure. They are definitely not well centered. Back to the creases. Those are significant defects. I'm going to put it down as a 7. Despite the fact that they're significant, it still presents fairly well, and the cover is still fairly flat. So what are we looking at? If you put them all together, you end up with a 6.5, which 6.5 is a fine plus, which I think is an appropriate grade. So that's basically how I grade a comic. Once that's done, I take it and I put it in the comic so that I know what it is. I went and got my grading guide. We're going to take a look at the 6.5 entry and see what it says. Small to moderate accumulation of minor defects. Minimal to minor wear, and that's true. Slight discoloration, staining, and or foxing. That's true. It has some slight... not quite. It may be a little lower than that. It does not have a spine roll. Staples are slightly discolored. Staples are actually bright. No. One of them is, one of them isn't. Slightly discolored. Slight to minor migration, no rust migration, no spine splits. Minor accumulation of creases. And that's what we said it was, didn't we? There was 4 of them, and we said it was a minor accumulation, I believe. No, it was some accumulation. So 6.5 wouldn't be appropriate. So let's check 6. Minor to moderate creases. There you go. No, these are significant creases though, so we have to take it down further. Yeah, we're going to leave it at 6.5. Because it was only 4, and I think that's appropriate. We'll take a look at one of the others after I go through these comics for the actual Mylite project. And that's what we're going to do now. And we're going to start with Avengers number 308. And these are all Marvel comics today. This is from 1989, it looks like. Again, see how this is white and how that isn't? Yeah. This is white, that isn't. And Avengers 309. Avengers 310. The Triumph of Blastar. Avengers 311. Oh, look, I have 2 copies. Avengers 313. And this has a very rusted staple, to the point where the staple is about to fall apart. Avengers 337 from 1991. Avengers Annual number 13. And I had some others that were more recent Avengers from late 1990s, but I decided I didn't want to show those at this time because I'd rather show Baby's first Deadpool book. Featuring Whittle Wade. And this is from December of 1998, I think. Yeah. That's got to be worth something. And here's Baldar the Brave, number 1. And this is from 1985. These are white pages. You see how this and this is nearly the same color. Baldar the Brave, number 3. Bad wrap there. Again, white pages. I wonder if this is worth anything. Beavis and Butthead, number 1. White pages. From 1994. The next few comics might surprise you. They probably won't surprise you that I have a copy of it. Marvel Knights Black Panther number 1. Why it might surprise you is the quantity of them that I have. I have 6 copies. I was looking on eBay. I got curious. They're listing them for between $50 and $75 a piece. I got 6 copies. I don't know if it'll go up or not. And I have Black Panther #2. Only 5 copies of that one. But wait, there's more. Because they did 2 covers for Black Panther #2. I have 5 of one and 6 of the other. Kinda cool. And here's Black Panther #3. But I only have 3 copies of that. And Black Panther #4. And I only have 2 copies of that. And I know some of you are going, only 2? Apparently some of these have first appearances and are considered key issues. Here's #5. 2 copies. #6. And there's 2 copies of that. Now the next comic, I didn't know it had a variant cover. In fact, I didn't know that this was the variant cover, because it was the only one I'd ever seen. Black Widow #1. Apparently this is her first appearance. I didn't know that. Much less that it was not just her first appearance, but her first cover appearance, and it's a rare, at least that's what I was told, or at least that's what it's listed as, a rare variant cover. Yeah, it's the only cover I've ever seen. So there you go. That's what I have for the Eternal Mylite Project today. Did you like those? I kinda did. Let's grade another comic. This time we're going to grade Strange Adventures, number 143. Where's my papers? Strange Adventures 143. We'll start out by looking at the interior pages. Again, if you look at the thought, or these thought balloons in the pages, it's almost identical. Not quite, though. Here I think the white is a little bit brighter than it is here. Yeah, I think these pages are cream to off-white also, which cream to off-white. So the pages, and they're complete. Which check the centerfold. The centerfold is very secure. And I didn't see any tears in the pages. So, pages get a 9.4. Now let's look at the corners. Some slight blunting. That'll drop it down one. Creases. There are no major creases in this book. There's one here, but it doesn't break color. One here. I can't tell if that breaks color or not. Ah. There is about a ½ inch spine split. Little 3/4 inch spine split. Well, that's a shame. I don't even have to look at the spine any more than that. Do you see how far down that dropped from just from that one spine split? Creases are great. I mean, there's I'd say 9.6 on creases. Staples are definitely not centered. Well, actually, they're centered on the spine well, but they're not. One of them is, and one of them's off center. They're generally centered. But, of course, you got this gap here, and then this little one here, so that's not good. And it's actually a pretty clean copy. Got a little bit of dirt on it, little grime on it, but not much. Unfortunately, once I got to the spine split, yeah, there you go. It's a 3.5. Yeah, it looks really nice. In theory, it could be graded higher. A 3.5 is very good minus. I would not grade it higher than that, just because of that spine split. The number of defects you can have and be very good minus is 10 to 16. So I don't think I have to worry about any other defects. And that's a major defect, and so that's why it's that. That's why it drops it so low. Darn shame. It's a really nice copy, except for that. So, do we want to do this one? Yeah, why not? Good practice. Again, if you take a look at the pages, see how this is a lot whiter than it is over here? Look at her hat. It's nice and white. It's close. Again, off-white to cream pages. That's not bad at all, especially in a book this age. That's what, 9.4, I think? Yeah, 9.4. I have previously checked this for completeness. I have not checked the centerfold, but it is tight. It is very nice. Now we'll look at the cover. We're going to start out with the spine, and there are no spine splits. There are, however, creases. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 creases. If we look at my chart here that I had, 8 to 16 is an accumulation of creases, accumulation of spine creases. Let's go to our book. And you notice I haven't even gone over the missing parts to the cover yet. I'll get to that in a few minutes. Well, even if you don't, I mean, just going based on this other side here, 12 puts it down to fine. But when you're counting those creases, that accumulation of creases, that's a single, that is a single defect. All of those creases are considered a single defect, and it's an accumulation. But it gives us a starting point. It gives us an idea where to start looking, which would be fine. So we'll go to fine and see what it says. Minor accumulation of creases. Well, actually, stress line. Accumulation of minor slight lines. And that's what these are. These aren't really slight lines, are up to 1/16. Yeah, that fits. For the stress lines and the stress creases, that fits. So it actually for the spine, we can say a 6.5. Of course, we know it's not going to end up there. Now let's look at, now we're going to look for actual creases on the cover itself. There's a lot of indents on it. It might come out with the press. But no real creases as such. Do have a tear here. Corner is missing. Corner is missing. And those are actually significant. It's a 1/8 square. Yeah, that's about a 1/8. That's about half of that. It's a 1/16 square. And a 1/2 inch triangle to 1/4 square missing. I'm going to put these under creases, and unfortunately we're going to check the book on that, because I think my other chart might be off a little bit. So let's go find some examples and see where it comes out at. We'll start it around good plus. Okay, to recap, because my camera stopped working, I came up with a 9.4 on the pages for this. Creases, I counted these as creases, and that takes it to a 3.0. The spine, I said, was a 6.5. The corners are obviously, we have problems with the corners. These two corners that don't have problems, the corners are sharp. Except for where it's missing part of it. So, yeah. I'm going to put those down here too. Soiling, it's actually a pretty clean copy. There's not hardly any soiling at all. I don't see any real dirt on it. So that's going to be high. We're going to 9.4 on that. The staples are actually fairly well centered. We've got 2.5 or 2.25 and 2.25. These staples are great. This distance from the top to here and from the bottom to here is almost identical. So this is what I consider well-centered staples. So for staples, they're still shiny. They look almost brand new. The staples would get a 10. But here we go. It's a 3.0. Overall, I'm thrilled. I think it's a lot better than what I expected. And that's Q of the W D11s. Number 5 from 1954. I was a very youngin' when this came out. And there you go. What am I forgetting? Ah, questions. Ask me questions. I forgot to put it in Monday's video. Ask me questions so I have something to talk about on Friday. Otherwise, you know, I might have to show you some new comics or something if I get some. Here we go. It's time. It's time to decide what's the cover. These two were the picks that the viewers selected. These two were the ones that everybody liked the most. I didn't even realize this one was Steve Ditko. It's just not his normal kind of a cover that he does. It doesn't really look like his artwork, but it most definitely is. But they're going up against Kazar wrestling an alligator. And against this, I just really like that cover. Breaks my heart, but Charlton's going to go away. DC, Zenescope, and Marvel. Yeah, you're not cutting it, Kazar. I'm sorry. I like this cover. This is... It's just... Yeah, this one just presses all my buttons. I love the other covers, but this one is... It's something special. And I'm not sure why. So this isn't it either. My cover of the week. It's official. Comes out of nowhere. Strange Adventures number 143. Yeah, I didn't even consider this one before, but this is a great cover. And this is going to be my cover of the week. How about that one for a twist? You thought I was going to pick Dale Evans, didn't you? I almost did. And then I remember what this one looked like. Of course, I could have picked... I could have picked that one too. But no. Strange Tales 143 from January 1963, which means it actually came out in November 1962, is my cover of the week. Don't forget, before you handle your comics, before you handle your collectibles, wash your hands. It's good for your comics. It's good for your health. And we'll see you next video. Bye.